to Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, and today is Tuesday, January 29th, 2019. Let's find out what's going on in the world of bodybuilding and fitness. You know how they say some things are like riding a bike. Once you learn to do them, you never forget how. Well, Kris Dim is about to put that theory to the test firsthand 4 weeks from now when he makes his grand return to the Arnold Classic stage. Over the weekend, video leaked of Kris working on the finer points of his back training alongside guru Milos Sarcev. I ran across a few progress photos of Kris a few weeks ago, and honestly, I was blown away with how far he's come along. And if there's anything we've learned about Kris Dim over the years, it's that no matter what, you can never count this guy out. Sometimes all it takes is throwing a little bit of seasoning on an old recipe to spice things up a little. So when I see Kevin Ford getting creative with some of the things he's been doing in the gym lately, I always think to myself, bravo, young man. Despite trying to keep things relatively low-key for most of the off-season, a few days ago the Classic Physique star was spotted putting a little twist on an old favorite during his back routine. If you can remember back to this time last year, it was right about now when he started to gain momentum as a dark horse for the Arnold. And now that we know he's a top 5 potential guy, I'm curious to see what new things 2019 might have in store for him. There's an old saying that goes something to the effect of, great athletes make the extraordinary look ordinary. I think of that quote every time I see Maxx Charles, because this guy makes everything he does look effortless. A few days ago, Mad Max managed to brave the 10 below wind chills long enough to make it to the gym for another intense leg session as he slowly starts to put his plan together for his 2019 campaign. I think Max really surprised a lot of people with what he did in his win at the Romania Pro at the end of last season, in part because he flew in there pretty much under the radar. But now that he's back operating at full max again, I'm hoping we get a chance to see him throw down at the New York Pro stage in May, where he's got to be considered one of the most dangerous men. As the great Michael Jeffrey Jordan once said, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So if I was trying to leave my mark on a stacked figure division like Wendy Fortino, I think I'd probably come out gunning, because eventually something's going in. With another trip to the Figure International lined up in her sights, the 4-time Olympian is attacking this prep as hard as ever. You can't be a fan of figure and not love the way someone like Wendy approaches her craft, because she's someone who understands how to consistently nail all the details. And depending on how some things shake out, I can see her putting together a top 5 finish here if she comes out at her best. Repeat dominance is a rare thing in sports, but to be a 3-time Arnold Classic champion in the most tightly contested division in all of bodybuilding, well, that is the stuff that legends are made of. So just imagine how some of the other athletes in this year's Bikini International lineup must feel knowing they're going up against a killer like India Paulino. Not only was the India Paulino we saw in last year's big return as good as she's ever been, if anything, she might have even gained a psychological advantage in knowing that she can get back to the top of the mountain whenever she decides to lock it in. And when you've got history on your side and you're fearless, that seems like a pretty solid recipe for success, if you ask me. And that does it for yet another edition of Muscle in the Morning. I'm Dave Palumbo, reminding you to always be true to your passions, and make sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.